welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. Today I wanted to share a couple of recipes. These are recipes that my kids and I have been doing as a part of my Christmas Around the World Part 2 unit study. For several years I had been struggling to find something to do with my older kids as the Christmas season rolled around, and I wanted to do something fun and something festive, but everything just was so geared towards younger students that I decided I would just write my own. And so last year I released the Christmas Around the World Part 1, and then this year is the follow-up. So this year my kids are studying Italy, they are studying France, and they are studying Brazil, and what kind of Christmas traditions they have there. As you can imagine, one of our favorite things is to try new recipes from these different cultures. So today I'm actually going to be working through the 3 recipes that are included in the unit study. So you can find all of the ingredients and all of the step-by-step instructions right there in the PDF when you purchase it. But I thought it would be nice to do a little video, show you what it goes into creating these, and kind of give you our feedback on what we think of everything. So I'm gonna go from the easiest dish to the hardest dish. So if you only wanna make one of these recipes, you can skip ahead to different parts of the video. I'll put some timestamps down below in the description box. But I'm gonna start with our dish from Brazil, and that is called Rabanada, hope I'm saying that right, Brazilian French toast. So this is a fried cinnamon sugar French toast. And the ingredients are pretty simple. It's a lot of the same things we would use for, well, French toast anyway. So I have a couple of loaves of French bread. Now it's best if you can let it kind of go a little bit stale. So mine's not too stale. So we're gonna give it a shot and hopefully it'll turn out okay. You're gonna need at least 3 eggs. We'll see how far it goes, how many slices that makes. A cup of milk. You're also going to need a can of sweetened condensed milk. You're gonna need sugar, just regular old sugar. You are gonna need cinnamon and then some vanilla. And what I'll do is I'll just turn the camera around. I'll show you everything that I'm doing and we'll just put together some delicious French toast. It is actually the middle of the afternoon, but who doesn't like breakfast for dinner? So I think this might be part of our dinner tonight. So let's get going. So the first steps for this recipe are to get our cinnamon and sugar mixed together. So this called for a cup of sugar and a 1/4 cup of cinnamon. And at first it seemed like a lot of cinnamon to me. However, after completing the recipe and trying it, I will say that it was perfect. It was not too sweet and it had just a wonderful burst of cinnamon flavor. So we're gonna mix those together into a bowl, stir them up with a fork, and then set them aside. Then in another bowl, we're gonna start to get together all of the wet ingredients. So that would be our whole milk, our cup of whole milk, our 3 eggs, our 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, as you can see, I realized that maybe the bowl I was using was not quite deep enough to mix this all together. So I transferred it to a bigger bowl and got them all mixed together, whisked them together well, and then I poured them back into the shallow bowl to make it easier to soak the pieces before putting them into the frying pan. Then I took our loaves of French bread and sliced them into slices about 1.5 inches thick. Now on medium to medium high heat, I've got some canola oil heating in a deep skillet, and then I'm gonna dip the bread slices one at a time in the mixture. You wanna give them a little bit of time to absorb some of that mixture, and then you wanna give them a squeeze. You wanna squeeze the excess out. Like, you don't want them to be sopping wet. You just want them to be well saturated with the mixture. And then once you have the oil at an appropriate temperature, basically if you put a drip of water in it, it's gonna sizzle. Then you're going to add the slices to the oil. Now the oil I have is about 1.5 inches deep, so it will cover a good majority of the bread, or at least half of the bread while it is frying. You let it get about golden brown, flip it over, and let it go ahead and fry on the other side as well. When both sides are golden brown, take it out. Now as I take them out of the oil, I'm going to put them on a paper towel lined plate to absorb some of the excess oil, and then I will dip them into the cinnamon sugar mixture, making sure that they're coated on both top and bottom and then all of the sides. And before serving, you can powder them with a little bit of powdered sugar if you would like to. You could also serve it with syrup or dulce de leche, but this is what it looks like. It made a ton of them, but all that is left to do next is to give them a taste test. All right moment of truth. That's really good. Like an elevated French toast. And super easy. Not too many ingredients. And cleanup was super, super fast, which is always a plus. So, highly recommend. Gonna keep eating. Okay, so recipe number 1 is done, and it was delicious. But now we're gonna move on to our second recipe. Now this is an Italian Christmas dessert dish, and it is another fried dough, similar to like small donuts, but it's gonna have a honey-based glaze that's put on top of it. So traditionally this dish is made and the little donuts are arranged similar into like a wreath pattern, and then the glaze helps to hold them all in place. So that's what we're gonna try to do today. Now there are 2 parts to this process. We're gonna mix together the dough and get this really sticky-ish dough, and then it's gonna go into the fridge for a little bit before we pull it out, shape it, and then fry the different little mini donuts. So I'm really excited to try this one. There is a citrus component to it. I have a little bit of orange zest that is going to be added, and I love anytime we can add in a citrus flavor to a baked good. I think it just makes it smell and taste amazing. So let's get started making our Italian Struffoli dessert. So this dish is best made with a food processor if you have access to one, or you can use a mixer, but we're gonna put 4 eggs into the food processor, and then we are going to mix them until they are frothy looking. So you just want them to get nice and fluffy and have lots of air incorporated into them. Then to that, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of orange zest. We're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And then the last thing we're gonna add is a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter that has been melted. And you're gonna pulse all of that together until it is nice and frothy. All right, so after it's been all frothed up, as you can see here, we're going to measure out and add our dry ingredients. This is going to take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Again, you're going to blend it or pulse it in the food processor, and it's gonna start to come together and form a super, super sticky dough. Now, I got a piece of plastic wrap and I laid that out on my counter, and then I scooped out everything from the food processor onto that piece of plastic, wrapped it up, and I put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes until it was easier to handle. Once it's had a chance to cool in the fridge, lightly flour a surface and then get out your dough. Now we're gonna divide this into 8 equal sections and roll out each section into a rope about 1/2 inch in diameter. And then you're going to cut pieces from those ropes that are about 1/2 inch and then roll them up into a ball shape. They should be roughly the size of a marble. And you're just gonna keep doing this until you have cut and rolled and formed little balls from all of your dough. And we are going to need to heat up some oil again. So I have canola oil one more time, heating up over medium heat. Once it is hot enough, that is, it sizzles when I add a drop of water, I'm going to add some of my dough balls into it. I added, anywhere from 10 to 15 at a time, and just kind of move them around while they are boiling. So, or while they're frying. That way they brown evenly on all of the sides. So you're looking for a golden brown color on all surfaces. Once they've hit that color, scoop them out, let the excess oil drain out, and then put them on a plate that is lined with a paper towel, or in this case I have a baking sheet that is lined with some paper towels in order to absorb that excess oil. Now it's time to work on the glaze. In a deep saucepan, you're going to put a cup of honey, 2 tablespoons of orange juice, and 1/2 cup of sugar, and you're going to heat that over medium heat until the sugar has dissolved. I was really excited. I had honey from one of my friends who is a beekeeper to use. I also just took the orange that I had gotten the zest from earlier and squeezed orange juice out of that. So it did not take very long to heat up before all of that sugar had fully dissolved. Once it is fully dissolved, you're actually going to add all of your fried dough balls into that mix, turn the heat off, and then you're going to stir around and coat them completely with that glaze. Next, take a plate and a drinking glass, spray the drinking glass with nonstick cooking spray, place it in the center, and then pile the glazed covered dough balls all around it in a wreath form. So you can see I kind of piled them up there, and then I poured the extra glaze all over the top.
Once that is done, I sprinkled them with some of the non-perioral sprinkles, so you can use as little or as much as you would like, or you can completely forego the sprinkles if you'd like. And I did let it sit for probably a good half an hour or so that way the glaze could not quite harden, but thicken up and really hold that shape together. Then I slid the glass out of the middle. And here you go, our finished Struffoli. They tasted amazing. It's a not too sweet dessert, so if you don't like overly sweet holiday desserts, this is perfect. It had that wonderful bright citrus taste to it, and everyone really enjoyed it. Now I do have one more recipe to make. This is from France, but I think I'm gonna do that in another video because we have lots of sweet stuff now to eat up before we make yet another one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out my unit study if you're still looking for something to do this Christmas. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, happy homeschooling.